Welcome back. I am Nate. That's Tony. We're going to be recapping a little bit of what happened in week 17, but also recapping what happened this fantasy football season and what we're going to do with it going forward. I think that's a big thing that we need. We always look at the end of the fantasy season, Tony, and we always think about all right, that's done. And then we wait until June, July, September, draft time to really be like, okay, what's going on for this year? But I think a lot of what we can take from our lessons learned this year, and we've been doing this for 17 weeks now, of what we learned and what we're doing with the forward, right? Encapsulating some of that stuff and taking it into our process for preparing for the 2024 NFL fantasy season. But we're going to be talking about what we learned this year in fantasy football. We're going to be talking about something that we would like to change, or we're looking to change within our leagues going forward. So every year there's something different that ends up happening. We're going to talk about that and how we can impact our leagues to make better leagues going forward, because I think everybody wants to play in a better league. Don't just do the standard stuff that's been going on for days and days and days, right? And then we're going to talk about our top 5 2024 New Year's resolutions. We're recording this on New Year's Day. We're going to be talking about the top 5 2024 New Year's resolutions. I'm excited to see where that goes, Tony, because I don't know where you went with it. I didn't say, hey, let's shape it one way or the other. And I went a very specific route. So I'm hoping we're not on the same track, because I don't have 10 of them. So, but before all of that, let's talk, as we do always, what is top of mind for you, Tony?
Top of mind, I'm noticing a lot of grays in my beer. Are you able to get rid of that? Can you do something about that in post? Is that some editing skills that you have?
You got to keep them. You got to keep them and have the little billy goat things going on right there.
Son of a bitch. All right. Well, really top of mind for me is palm trees. Weird. I know. Just got back from home, went to California, to the West Coast, to visit family, do Christmas over there. A lot of fun, but I don't know what it is about them. But after spending a week and a half or so back home in California, I realized just how much I missed them. We don't have them here. Maybe the warm weather too, I guess. But like any decent sized city that you kind of roll up into, or you're just passing through on the 10 or Interstate 10, all you see is like palm trees, like just towering above all the houses and neighborhoods and like through all the business areas. We need them here. I don't know what it would take. I know In-N-Out tried it. They had like the coils wrapped around it to keep them warm.
Yep.
But they died. So they're gone. So I think we have the science and the technology to make it happen. I think it's the soil. I think we got to keep the soil warm. Mm-hmm. I'm not a doctor though. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on growing facial hair. I'm proud of you.
It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks good too.
You got to keep the neck clean. That's all.
Yeah. That's the only thing, right? Keep it clean. Like I go like wherever my bends are, right? So
you got to hide the double chin. That's the key.
Yeah. That is the key, because I look terrible when I shave now. Maybe it's because I put on about 20 pounds since I, quit my last job, or quit my 2 jobs ago or something like that. But yeah, that's good. I've been thinking about that a lot lately on like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like just when I go through a rut in work where I'm like just not excited to go to work, where I'm like, I'm not meant to do this. Like, this isn't what I want to do. So I start looking at, what do I really want to do in life? Like for work, what do I want to do? Where do I want to live and do that kind of stuff? Like I want to live in like a really good sports town, whether that be in a college atmosphere, a professional atmosphere, or something like that. Like I think about like, what if I lived in the South? Right? Like, what if I lived in like Alabama, Mississippi, or something like that, where it's like, it is bred culture to be like a part of a family, and this is our region, and this is what we care about and what we love and stuff like that. It doesn't really happen here in Colorado, and it's kind of like weird. So that's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately too. A lot of
Confederate flags flying very high in those 2 states. I've driven through them. I've seen them firsthand. That's a little troublesome for people with my, and maybe a little bit of yours and your kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I drove through. That was like the first thing. I was like, why are they flying so high above the trees?
Yeah. But that weather, all that kind of, like, I think I like all the seasons. And I thought about this when I dropped my kids off to go see their mom for New Year's. And I was on the East Coast, and I was in like the Washington, D.C. area for about like 6 hours. And while I was waiting to fly back, and it was raining. And there was something about it, just kind of gray, gloomy sky, rain, where I was like, this feels really good right now. And we don't get rain in Colorado. If we get rain, it's about five minutes of it before it turns into softball size ice that's flying down from
Yeah,
the heavens, you
it's
know,
the
and
precursor to hail.
it turns into when it rains, it's like go get in the garage or get cover or something like that, because you're gonna have
5 minute warning.
glass flying everywhere, and we don't get that kind of stuff here. It's either it's cold or it's just kind of nice. But when it's kind of nice, it's like the sun just beats down on you so hard because we're at elevation. But I don't know. I've been thinking about that stuff lately too. I
Yeah.
would love to live in California. One, I just don't want to pay the taxes.
I would even pay the cost because you do have beaches, mountains, city. You have everything, right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't get that in all the states, all the lower 48. It's just the people. It's too crowded. Like you want to drive, an hour, basically close to some heavily densely populated area. You're going to be sitting in traffic,
Yeah.
and that's unacceptable for me. That's the
Yeah.
only thing keeping me away, I think.
For me, it's literally how much you pay in taxes. Like I pay a lot of fucking money in taxes,
Yeah.
and I realized this stuff after I separated out of the military or whatever like that. It's like, my gross income's more than double than what it was, and that's with all the allowances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it sure as hell don't feel like it. When you do your taxes at the end of the year, you're like, holy crap. Like,
my wife's a teacher, so thank you for your contribution to
you're
society.
welcome. I also pay your salary and my salary. It's okay. I'll take it. But top of mind for me, Tony, New Year's Eve, my kids are gone. I think it was the 30th. I'm sitting here. I had nothing to do. I'm like, whatever, right? Maybe I'll just play some poker on Poker Stars or whatever, the free games, because I got nothing to do and I don't want to sit on the Xbox. Like, it just doesn't do anything for me. But let me do something that moves my brain around a little bit, right? And I like playing card games or puzzle games. Like, I love Sudoku and stuff like that, crosswords, all kinds of stuff like that is what I mostly play. And so I'm playing, and then I like, you know what? Let me look up movies on poker. So I look up movies on poker, and I'm like, oh, Rounders. Well, I had never watched Rounders before. I've heard everything about it, and I'm like, okay, let me watch this, right? So I watched that, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I got to go play poker somewhere. So I start looking around Colorado. There's a couple poker rooms. There's like 2 areas where they really do it. One's Cripple Creek. There's one. It's probably like an hour and a half away, hour 20-minute drive from the house. There's one poker room up there, but if you go up to Black Hawk, which is about 2-hour drive, a little northwest of Denver, there's a bunch of casinos down one strip, and a lot of them have poker rooms. So I was like, okay, look at those. Look at the Bally's. Not a sponsor. And they had a tournament going on New Year's Eve, 7 p.m., $200 buy-in, right? I'm like, okay, that'd be cool. I've never played in a tournament. I've gone to Cripple Creek and played in cash games and stuff like that. That's cool. Play tournaments with our buddies and stuff, but never against a bunch of random strangers 2 hours away from my house. So I did that last night for New Year's Eve. $200 buy-in, whatever you get. I think it was like 20,000 in chips or something like that for your buy-in. And things were going good. I was doing well. I did lose about 70% of my money or my chips in like 5 hands because I went all in, or I bet a bunch against a dude, and I had the low end straight, he had a high end straight or whatever like that. But we both needed 2 connectors. So he had a higher end straight than me or whatever, right? Okay, I'll live with that. And I build back up over the next couple hours. And then I'm sitting there and I have a King of Hearts in my hand and a 10 of Hearts. Pretty dope. Whatever. I'm going to play this, right? Pre-flop raise, all that kind of stuff. There's only one guy playing with me at this point. The flop comes out. I flop the flush. There's a jack sitting in there. There's a 9 of hearts sitting in there and like a 3 of hearts or something like that. So I got the flush and I got a straight flush draw. I just need the queen to make a straight flush, cool, or whatever like that, right? And then the next card comes out, or at that point I pushed all in or whatever, because he raised me pretty heavily, and then it was going to be like 70% of my chips, so I just went all in, whatever. He calls, we flip him over, boom, I got a nut flush, it looks like, right? This dude's sitting on an ace of hearts,
Yeah,
and a club. So he needs a fucking heart to beat me, right? The next card comes out. It's a diamond. I almost shit because it was a red card or whatever, and I got bad eyes. So he flops. There's a diamond. Only thing that can save him is a heart, and as long as it's not the queen of hearts, right? What comes out, it's like a 5 of hearts or something like that. The dude hits a flush. Ace high. I'm out. I had over 200,000 in chips or whatever like that. And this is like right as like the payoff line had cut or whatever like that. So we were in the money or whatever. So I ended up min cashing or whatever like that. Like I think it was like 1.8 of what I put in or something like that. I ended up with like $360. Okay. But I got fucked by a fucking river heart, and it couldn't be the damn queen, so I can get a straight flush. It hurt. Happy New Year to me. So I went and played a bunch of other stuff for a few more hours, and then I got home at 4 a.m. in the morning because it's like a 2-hour drive. So
that's a bold move with just waiting for a heart. Last 2 cards.
Yeah,
that's bold.
Waiting for a heart, man.
Yeah, that's bold.
But yeah, so that was my New Year's Eve. I watched Rounders, got into it, and then I sat here and played poker on my computer for another 4 hours and watched Casino, and I was like, I gotta go. So that's top of mind for me, but won a little bit of cash there, won a little bit on the old slots too, so that was good. Walked away with like $500 or something like that, so profit, which was cool, but I'm still tired, so let's move into what we learned this year in fantasy football. Tony, so I'll give you the floor first.
So I didn't nail this down to like, I learned this about this player because some situations might change next year. People might get injured, right? So I kind of focused on like strategy for the drafts, for redraft primarily. First one I have is avoiding quarterbacks early. We beat this like over and over. I think this year was kind of a prove it for this strategy. Don't really need to go too early on one. But every year we get guys like Tua or guys like Dak. Those 2 guys specifically went 88 and 93 overall in drafts, respectively. Mahomes, I jumped on that grenade. I thought it'd be fun to have like a Mahomes-Kelsey stack in 1 year, in one league. And that was the one league I didn't make the playoffs in. So that was terrible. Fun, but terrible. But he would have cost you, Patrick Mahomes would, he would have cost you a first-round pick or an early second. When you do that, you're missing out on guys like CeeDee Lamb, who I think is the wide receiver. Is he the wide receiver 1 this year?
I think he's up there. Tyreek maybe.
Yeah, Tyreek maybe. So he's
unless
probably
he
wide
passed him
2.
this week. I don't. Yeah, he's right there.
He's in the top 2. So you miss out on a guy like that. You're not going to find a CeeDee Lamb later in drafts. You miss out on a guy like AJ Brown. I would say Stephon Diggs, but after Ken Dorsey got shit canned, things kind of changed there. They focused more on running and doing checkdowns and stuff like that. But I think going forward, especially for 2024, I'm going to basically abandon even looking at the quarterbacks through like, I don't know, round 5 or 6 and just grabbing a guy a little bit later on. Because in some of the leagues where I was hurting, it was because I had some deficiency at like running back or wide receiver. So first one for me is avoiding that early quarterback. It's a trap. Don't do it.
You think that's also because the Kansas City thing is kind of weird because nobody can catch the ball there for some reason this year. Like it's bad. But you think some of that has to do with the amount of injuries and turnover and stuff like that we had in the league?
Yeah, Burrow got injured. Josh Allen didn't have a ceiling year, right? Jalen Hurts didn't have a ceiling year. He did well, but I don't think those guys are paying off from where you took them.
Yeah.
And the opportunity cost, right, at the other positions on what you were missing out on because you took the quarterback in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah. There might just be enough volume out there for other guys, like Sam Howell's in the top 10 or whatever like that. And it's strictly just volume. He's not good at playing quarterback.
No.
But
he was leading the league in passing for a while.
Yeah, but when they throw it 45 to 50 times a game, you're bound to get 250 and 250 yards and two touchdowns or something like that. So, that's going to be an interesting one to look at some of that kind of stuff because Anthony Richardson wouldn't have been a player, right? Justin Herbert went down a couple weeks ago. You got CJ Stroud had missed a couple weeks as well. You're probably not banking on rookie quarterbacks and stuff like that, but that's going to be interesting. That'd be something that I want to look into also on like where do we pick these guys? Because I was very adamant about elite quarterback, right? Like Josh Allen being up there, Mahomes being up there, but
I think you want to save your darts, right? You're trying to throw darts and hit on the wide receiver 1, the running back 1, or at least the top 5, right, at those positions. You're not going to, help your chances when you're pulling the trigger on Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, those guys in the first few rounds. So I think you're just trying to increase your chances of getting CeeDee Lamb, right?
Yeah.
So that'll be what I do in 2020. If you're drafting with me, you don't need to worry about me if I'm, right before you and you're trying to get Josh Allen. I'm
We're
not
gonna
taking
have
him.
we're gonna have 9 months for you to think that over. We'll see where we're at in September. So
Okay.
that'll
All
be.
right.
I think it's a fun thing to go through. But all right, my number one thing is gonna be that I learned is more so of just a confirmation that coaching matters in the NFL, especially when you're trying to predict where you're gonna draft players in the draft, where people have them ranking and all that kind of stuff. Um, because looking back on some of the things we talked about in the preseason, right? And I think I just like hammering this home because there's going to be so many coaching changes here in a week. Like next Monday is going to be a bloodbath. And there may be guys who don't get fired that probably should get fired, but there's going to be coordinators that are changing like crazy and stuff. And I think that we really need to focus on that. Couple things here. We talked about Courtland Sutton, right? Courtland Sutton was the wide receiver 33 this year, and that's with and this is during the fantasy time frame, which we care about, 17. And then I think he's a little higher if you go back to 14, which is where you probably really want to do your rankings from, 1 to 14. And or for what you're trying to project. But he missed 2 games this year, right? He had the concussion a week and a half ago, I guess you would say, 2 weeks ago against New England on the first play. He didn't even touch the ball, got a concussion, and then obviously missed his last week for championship week. Still finished wide receiver 33 when Jeudy was a much higher draft pick this year than him. But looking at the coaching style of Sean Payton and where players are going to play within the offense, the position that Courtland Sutton filled was the same position that Michael Thomas set all those reception records and stuff like that for, right? So little confirmation there. The next guy didn't work out, but Kadarius Toney / Rashee Rice. So we talked about that in the preseason about whoever's going to play the Z or the X, I guess you would say. No, the Z. Same side as Kelsey, right? In that offense is the one you wanted, and they rolled out Kadarius Toney very early, drops, right? And it didn't happen, and we waited to see who would fill that role. They tried with Sky Moore, Justin Watson a little bit, and then finally went to Rashee Rice, but we talked about that a little bit in the preseason about, you can draft Kadarius Toney, and then with your next pick, draft Rashee Rice, and you just handcuff the position. It's one of the only wide receiver positions that you could handcuff because one of those guys is going to get all those passes and stuff like that. And Rashee Rice has worked out pretty well for being a guy who didn't get a lot of opportunity early in the year. He's wide receiver 22 in PPR this year as well.
Really good.
When you're getting those guys in the double-digit round, wide receiver 22 is a big hit for you. Dalton Schultz, we talked about him and Bobby Slowick in that offense and how they utilize the tight end coming from the Shanahan system. He's kind of one of the big reasons why you had these big years out of Kittle and stuff like that when he was working with the offense there, and what they did with rookie quarterbacks, and that's what they had in Houston. Rookie quarterback Dalton Schultz, undrafted guy, and tight end 10 in PPR, and he had 7 weeks over 11 PPR points, which is cool for a tight end. You can get double-digit points for the tight end. You're really liking that. If you're getting over half of your fantasy season to have that, and then 4 of them were over 14 PPR points as well. Guys like Austin Ekeler, we talked about how Kellen Moore utilizes the running back in his offensive schemes and stuff like that, how they were going to be more of a vertical offense, not a lot of passes to the running back. He still caught, I think, like 50-something passes or something. It's pretty close to 50 passes, but we talked about how the Dallas Cowboys over the last couple of years have only caught like 60 passes as an entire backfield, and that's where all of Austin Eckler's fantasy value came over the last couple of years when they had, what was his name, Schottenheimer, I think it was the offensive coordinator there. Or who's the offensive coordinator in Denver?
It's Lombardi.
Lombardi, right? So Lombardi's offense. That's why we liked a lot of the Jamal Williams as well too. So Javonte Williams, and then Arizona Cardinals, like we missed on this tight end. Just a position in general, we had Zach Ertz nowhere near our top 12, but coming out of the Philadelphia system with Jonathan Gannon and stuff like that, and what they like to do there, and it transferred over into Arizona, whether they had Josh Dobbs or they had Kyler Murray. When you look at this, you have what the hell is his name now? Trey McBride sitting there, and he is tight end 5 on the year. Trey McBride. And he really didn't play until week 6, right?
No,
but
you got a late start too.
But where these coaching staffs funnel the production and how they get those guys open and stuff like that, I think is going to be key for us going into the next year. So I think the number one thing was just a confirmation bias on coaching really does matter, because we were nowhere near the Austin Ekeler in the first round thing. And I remember my brothers asking me this last week about, hey, who do I start in my championship week? I can't believe I'm thinking about benching Austin Ekeler, my number one pick, or my number one pick right in the first round. And I didn't say this to him, but I'm like, the guy shouldn't have been anywhere near that, right? Like, we talked about his injury history when he got big load, and after 1 week he was gone for 4 weeks and stuff like that. Didn't rush the ball really well in their system or anything like that too. So just a little confirmation bias, but that's something that I'm really thinking about, because here in a week all the media is going to be about who's getting fired and all this kind of stuff, but we need to be focusing on what are we going to do with the guys coming in. And the sooner we can get a leg up on that, the sooner that we can sit there and prepare for the draft, right? You find out where all these holes are in their systems. So you find out where the hole is in the system, where they have a need. Does a rookie come in and fill that need like Rashee Rice did in Kansas City? Or do they bring in a free agent? Do they fill that need, right? When you got like OBJ or whatever it is coming into a system, does he do well in that system or not, right? Or because people are going to like all the free agency moves and all that kind of stuff, right? Be very positive, which is cool, but we need to figure out how we're going to win in fantasy.
I like all of that. Like what you're putting down. I smell what you're cooking, Nate. I'm going to stick with the theme of coaching. I think this is in the theme of coaching. My second one is to avoid bad offenses. I think every year we have players who have an enticing ADP that definitely seems like a value and makes you want to draft this player. But if they're stuck in a bad offense, bad team, maybe with a bad coordinator, you kind of alluded to some of that, you should probably avoid it. A good example of this is maybe Miles Sanders with Carolina, or DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee. You want touchdowns, right? Really to reach your ceiling, your player's ceiling. You want a competent quarterback that moves the offense. You want competent play calling, right? So just continuing to refine our process on how we're evaluating those things. And I think it's all exactly what you're saying, like looking at the offensive coordinators, looking at these changes and what do they mean for the teams, for the players, for the quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, whatever it might be. And just look around, like whatever player we're looking at, XYZ, right? Look around their ADP. You're probably going to find better options, even if you have to pull someone, half a round or a round earlier than what their ADP suggests you should. You're not, you don't have to tie yourself to that ADP.
Yeah.
So my second one is just taking a look at the offenses and just trying to avoid maybe some of those really good ADPs that look good, I guess I should say, but might be held back or might have their ceilings capped because of a coordinator, because of a quarterback, because of just a team in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll touch on ADP later too, as we go further down the rest of the show. But that was one of mine too. So for the people that are listening or watching, like, there's times where we do share what we're talking about or whatever like that. But this week we did not share what we're talking about. No. And one of mine is poverty teams don't need more than one fantasy player rostered. And I listed a bunch of teams. Think about it. Washington Commanders. Terrible team, terrible coaching staff, and not good quarterback, right? Carolina Panthers. Los Angeles Chargers. That sounds crazy, right? But every year we're dealing with Keenan Allen getting hurt, Mike Williams getting hurt, Austin Ekeler getting hurt, right? Like, there's always something going on. Now it's Justin Herbert getting hurt. Coaching stinks, but you don't need to roster all those. Who are we going to play? You got to play players, but we're sitting here drafting these guys so high and early.
Yeah.
Another poverty franchise, Atlanta Falcons. That sucks. It's hard because they got talent everywhere. I get Drake London is not fast. He's quick. They have like the best short passing squad like roster in the NFL. Like, if this were Tom Brady with this offense, it'd be amazing. Like, because it's everybody who can go short, and then you got good running game and stuff like that. But they can't coach it and they don't utilize the players. We have to recognize that and just stop. Like, it's okay to say, I'm not going to draft this guy. I don't care if Kyle Pitts is in the 8th round. I'm not fucking with it because I don't want to deal with, I think I got Kyle Pitts. That's going to psychologically happen to you, that you got Kyle Pitts in the 8th round. This was a steal and a bargain, and you're going to be looking for some bum like Daniel Bellinger to be a week 14 starter for you because you don't know if you want to play Kyle Pitts, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just avoid situations. New York Giants the same way. Pittsburgh Steelers, it's crazy. Pittsburgh Steelers used to be able to support the number one wide receiver and running back in fantasy football with a guy who couldn't move whatsoever in Big Ben
Mm-hmm.
Roethlisberger, and now it's terrible. And it's taken Mason Rudolph for them to have two
Oh
30
my
point
God.
games back to back. They had two 30-point games for the first time, and it feels like forever. And it was because Mason Rudolph's out here slinging it around, and one of
Mm-hmm.
them's on the road. And then you got the New England Patriots the same way. Like you just don't want to just avoid these teams. And there's maybe one player that you really want to touch on it, and that is it. You don't have to go down the roster of who's going to be the second guy and are they going to take a step. No, just stay away
Yeah.
until something drastically changes with the team, as far as maybe it's a coaching staff, maybe it's an offensive coordinator, relinquish duties or whatever it may be. Poverty teams max one player on that you need to worry about. I guess you would say. I would just cross off the other ones and say screw it. I'll deal with them having a breakout year.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Nate listed a lot of teams. So it was more teams than you want to list. Um, but
It's
every year,
20% of the league. It's 20%
every
of the
year,
league.
yeah, every year you're going to have, I don't know, 6 to 8 teams who fall in that bucket. A lot of those coaches, coordinators who are contributing to that problem, they're going to get jobs somewhere else. So just follow the paper trail. Where are they
Yeah.
coaching? Let me probably avoid that mess,
Yeah.
that disappointment in 2024. My final one here. This is another one. It's a position group. Avoid tight ends early. So Travis Kelce, his ADP in 2023 was 5. I did that in one
Mm-hmm.
league. Like I said, I took the Mahomes Kelsey stack. I thought it'd be fun. Never did it before. It wasn't fun. Don't do it. I'll never do it again. Um, but Kelsey right now, he is the tight end 3. That's awesome. But ahead of him, you have TJ Hawkinson. I know he's done. I think he tore an ACL. And you have Sam Laporta. Hawk was the 46th pick off the board, so you get him in the 4th round. Sam Laporta was 147. Not on anyone's radar. Typically, rookies are not. But Sam Laporta is going to finish, I believe, as the tight end 1. That is insane. I don't think it's talked about probably as much as people should be talking about it. Other options, though, at the position were Evan Ingram at 83. Nate's always been big on Evan Ingram. He's currently the tight end 6. I think he just set like a Jacksonville receptions record for the tight end position, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Or a deeper option that Nate and I both mentioned. I think you mentioned earlier, Nate. Jake Ferguson. He was 206, so probably not drafted in most leagues. He's the tight end 8 this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good. So avoid the first round tight end or the early round tight end. Again, you're costing yourself a shot at a Tyreek Hill in the first round, or some of these other stud. Christian McCaffrey could have been there in some leagues, right, in some spots.
Mm-hmm.
So you're costing yourself that opportunity to have one of those guys when you can just grab a tight end, in the middle of the draft or a little bit later if you really do your homework. You're not going to find a Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, those types of players in round 8, 9, 10, so on and so forth.
Yeah. And I think, too, as more of these college offenses adapt to, and I guess just kids growing up in general, right? If you're going to play tight end, like we've shown with like the NFL on how valuable a pass catching tight end is, a guy who you can flex out and stuff like that. And now you're getting a lot of the more predominant schools grabbing those guys, right? You got Brock Bowers in Georgia, who, like, I'm kind of excited to see what happens, where he ends up in the NFL draft, because that dude is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was injured a lot of this last year, but so maybe he falls under the radar a little bit, or there's concerns and stuff like that. But I think he's going to end up being a star. But the game is changing from the top bot down to where people are now developing themselves that way. So the guys who are coming in, like, hey, I'm bringing you in to be a flex tight end, right? Like, we're going to teach you blocking. Do you care about blocking? Do you want to be good at blocking? Okay, yes. But we need you to be over here. I can get Jonnu Smith to block, right? Or I can do this. And, like, he's serviceable as a pass catcher. But when we need plays on 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 6, all right, we're spreading you out wide. And that's what you're seeing, like Laporta, Kincaid while he was in there, while Knox was out. And, guys like that being able to step up. So
every now and then we will see like a Kyle Pitts, or the season where maybe not like Sam Laporta, but you'll have rookies who they, outperform rookie tight ends normally are supposed to perform like, right? It usually takes 2 or 3 years for those guys to get going. But this year we had Sam Laporta. Who else did you mention there? Luke Musgrave,
Yep.
Dalton Kincaid. Mayer has looked good in spots. Like, that's 4 guys. There's probably more than that, but that's 4 guys who came to the league NFL ready. And I don't think we've ever had a year like that. So those dudes help bring up the floor for the tight end position. So I don't think we need to focus on it's Kelsey Andrews or nothing. You can just wait for, the middle of the draft and grab one of those guys.
Yep. Especially if they're on a team that isn't like going to be super competitive for like an actual Super Bowl, because those teams don't run the ball well. So they still stick in the thing of like, the pass is the most plus EV play in the NFL. You have so many opportunities for penalties that you can get on it, from your passer to defensive holding to pass interference to illegal contact down the field, targeting defensive players, all that kind of stuff, right? So when you look at these teams that are down on the lower side of the league and stuff like that, they're going to be passing a lot, and those tight ends going to there can be very fruitful if they are developed enough to be able to work on that a little bit. My last one is going to end up being just talked about it before. I think team quarterback's the way to play quarterback in fantasy football, and I'm going to advocate that everybody does it. I'm going to continue to advocate for it. We had damn near 50. I think it was over 50 quarterbacks played.
55.
Over 55 starting quarterbacks this year, or quarterbacks that came into the season as well. Dudes are getting hurt left and right. Dudes are getting benched left and right. You don't want to be in championship week and you have your dang starter getting benched, or they're not they're not playing because they are, whatever, they're up by 21 and they ran the ball. They got a defensive touchdown, middle of the fourth quarter, something like that. You're not getting points, right? So look at Cleveland. You would have had to roster 4 quarterbacks to have the Cleveland Browns quarterback this year. And you definitely want the first and the last one, right? And it just sucks to have to go through and hold on to guys and all this kind of stuff. Just get the team quarterback. It's the only position where it's a one-dude show that is expected to be a one-dude show. Too many players revolving around it. And I don't think that, a dude gets hurt. Sure, you expect running backs, wide receivers, whatever, to get hurt. Like that happens more often than not. But over the history of the game, quarterback is the least likely position to get injured from a skill position. So,
and just so we're clear, this is for redraft, right?
Yeah, for redraft, not for dynasties and stuff like that. Dynasties, you should have extra quarterbacks within your roster. So that's my last one there. Let's talk about something that we're looking forward to change in regards to how we play fantasy football in 2024. Tony, I will let you go.
I came with a lot of things to bitch about on today's episode here.
Nice.
Pre-show, Nate informed me that I only get to bitch about one. Maybe we get some honorable mentions later. But the one I'm going to focus in on is victory points. I think that's what they're called. I think they have another name. Mm-hmm. But basically, you get wins and losses, right? That count. A win is a point. If you are amongst every week the top half scoring teams in the league, you would get a point. A victory point is what I think they're called. They have another name. I can't think of it right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. But we had this in a couple of our leagues where one of the top 2 or 3, I think, scoring teams didn't make the playoffs. Kendall, I think, was one. Terrence was another one. And it's just because they happen to be playing a top scoring team in almost every single week of the season. Like, they did their job, right? They drafted the way they should have. They did their job on the waiver wire. They were just unlucky in that regard. What victory points help do is basically give them a point, reward them, right, for drafting well, and maybe propel them into the playoffs, maybe not. I think it just kind of depends. But victory points, basically, top half of the league gets an additional point each week as far as who had the highest score, and it just helps. Hopefully, I know it doesn't help because I've run it in my league, like little tests to see if teams that weren't in the playoffs would have made the playoffs. It doesn't help every year, but some years it did help prop up some of those really high-performing teams that just had bad luck.
Yeah, I think I'd be interested to see how those things get weighed. I think the simple way is, okay, 1 point for each, right? But what really matters, right? Do we just go off of points and make it whatever, rotisserie or whatever you want to say, right? A points league or whatever, and not do head-to-head wins and losses? But at that point, fantasy football is probably not that fun because you want to play against your friends, right?
You want to have that head-to-head stuff.
But I think everybody would say that scoring the most points in a league is obviously more important to success in fantasy football than a head-to-head matchup.
Yeah.
So does a head-to-head matchup, is it worth less than 1 point? Like, how do we weigh that kind of stuff to make it fair and even or whatever like that? I don't know. It's very interesting, but
There's nothing you can do to play defense, right? You can roster defense. I don't recommend it.
I
Abolish that
do.
crap.
I do.
But like, how do you control like how many points your opponent? You don't in these matchups. So I feel like you should not be penalizing these people, right? Instead, I think we should be rewarding them. So yeah, I don't run leagues where I just make rules and enforce them. We'll probably vote on it in the league I run, the main one, 58 West King. But I'm very interested in it. I think I was one of like the top. I made the playoffs in that league, but I was one of the top 3 scoring teams. So I'm curious, like if that would have moved me up in seeding or moved me down. I forget who was below me, but
Yeah.
I don't think you remove the head-to-head thing either. That's what half the fun is, right? But another thing is like you can't control what your opponent is doing points wise, and the way we do these snake drafts, right? Like not everyone has the same players.
Yeah.
So you're kind of stuck with what you're stuck with. So I don't know. I'm going to definitely look into that this offseason. It's just like playing IDP. Like I'm scared. It's probably the better move though, right? Just need to
That's
make
what
the
I meant
change.
about.
Just rip the Band-Aid off and do it.
Yeah, that's what I meant about defense. I didn't mean team defense because that's fucking
Yeah,
terrible.
I,
But
I figured.
IDP is where it's at, man. Like you learn so much more about football when you play IDP. It's so good. So mine is going to be, and I'm going to attempt to instill this in my league, the one that is the league of record named after this show, or this show's named after. And it's going to be a flex roster. And just hear me out. Team quarterback, 1 running back. So these are the requirements, right? Team running back, 1 running. Currently, we run team quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 flexes, and a tight end.
Tight end. Yep.
Right? So you have 2, 3, that's 6, and then 2 flexes. So that is 8 players that you got to roster, right? Positions outside of the quarterback. So to run it with team quarterback, 1 running back mandatory, 2 wide receivers, and then 5 flex spots. Fuck the entire tight end position. Screw it, right? But for the players that people would want, or that really move the needle or something like that, you really got like one running back, like 12 of them, and not even those dudes are like needle movers, right? Like, I mean, you look at some of the guys in the top 10 and the top 12, 15 or something like that, and you're like, these guys are bozos. You know, like Rashad White, everything's based off of like what Austin Eckler's done over the last 2 years, and it's just pass catching. But do you want to roster that dude, or are you going to roster, whatever else it is, right? Go get you a running back, because nobody cares about the rest of the running backs. They all fall into like 7, 8 to 12, in the rankings for drafting or in the rounds that you draft in. 2 wide receivers, so you're basically starting 3 big studs essentially, and then figure out what you want to do. If you don't want to roster tight ends, you don't have to roster tight ends. You want Kelsey, you want Hawkinson, you want Laporta, rank them against the rest of the people or something like that, right? And then all your extra wide receivers and running backs, whatever you want to do the roster, just allow 5 flex spots. You're still rostering 8 skill position players, but it's only mandated that you deal with 1 running back and 2 wide receivers. Because usually after that, unless you're like a stacked team, right, and you built your roster around the running back position or the wide receiver position, there's probably guys that you would definitely roster a certain wide receiver over a running back, but you can't, right? And most teams would have like 1 good running back that they want to roster, 2 good wide receivers, and then it's hodgepodge, whatever else they do. Like this year I was running a lot of Evan Ingram and Trey McBride in the flex positions and stuff like that. Like I just preferred them over the wide receivers I had. It worked out for me.
Yeah.
But going to more of a flex league, I think it allows you to build out the teams how you want to build them out. If you want to focus on the running back position, if you want to focus on the wide receivers and stuff like that, because when you get down to like Juju Smith-Schuster, would you rather have Juju or would you rather have, I don't know, who's a mid running back, Alexander Madison, right? Like, you don't know. I don't know. Or would you rather roster, I don't know, let's say the Carolina running back, right? Miles Sanders or Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard, whoever that is, or a whatever, a Rashee Rice, right? Or a Romeo Dobbs, something like that, right? Like figure out what you want to do and then build your rosters that way. So flex rosters, I think, add more flexibility to whatever you got going on. That's obviously in the name. I just thought about that as I was saying it. But I think it's a fun way to play and allows all your league members to do whatever they want. So there's more strategy to how you build out stuff rather than being forced to fill in having a tight end. Like half the tight ends you don't even want, like
Yeah.
you don't want to play with tight ends. They're like playing with kickers and defenses, hoping the guy gets a fucking touchdown.
I wouldn't go that far. Trying to think. I had a couple honorable mentions. I don't know. Are you done? Was that the rest of yours?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll be done. Sorry.
And another thing with yours, and I've seen this in leagues I've played with in the past. Do not ever limit the amount of a position a player can draft or roster at any given point.
Oh yeah, I
feel
hate
that
those
is
leagues.
The dumbest shit in the world. Like I have to start 2 running backs. You're maxing me out at 4.
Yeah.
That's the most volatile position in the league. Dudes go on IR left and right. Dudes sit out, right, resting a high ankle sprain or something like that. They sit out a few weeks. I just have to hold on to those guys or drop them and let someone else pick them up. I don't know. I think that's just worth mentioning here. But I had 2 honorable mentions. Abolish the kicker position if you haven't done so already. I think we've done a pretty good job across the leagues we commissioner or we commish getting rid of that. So I think I only have 1 left. Matt's league. Kendall, you got to do something about that. Some of those people are afraid of change. And then the last thing was going from half PPR. That's my league that I run with Matt Graham to full PPR. We were like standard for the longest time. It was just kind of our thing. We were afraid of change, but I think we're probably ready to go full PPR. We got to take baby steps, Nate.
Yeah.
We can't just go straight into PPR. We didn't even know what that was a few years ago.
I think I like the half PPR. I think it's kind of fair when you got, like, I know I've won a matchup that was close this year off a catch that was -2 points or -2 yards.
It was like a 7-yard loss or something.
It was like a -2 yard loss. So it's a 2-yard loss. So I got into 0.8 points and I won by like 0.3 or something like that. Right. So it was definitely the factor of me winning on a negative play. But
I mean, you probably had a running back who caught some passes too, where you would have got those points.
Yeah. But it's I don't know. I kind of go between the two. So
I just feel like in that league, sometimes there's not a lot on the waiver wire. And if you have full PPR, now your pool of maybe slot wide receivers helps boost up, raise the floor of playable or startable or just rosterable wide receivers. And then maybe running backs who don't get a lot of carries, but they catch a lot of balls. Maybe some of those guys are worth rostering now if you do change to PPR. So that was kind of my angle. Yeah. And that's probably the second thing that I'll put to a vote for my league this offseason.
Yeah. I think, too, when you're talking about kickers and defenses, right, if you run more flex league, right, and people are like, oh, I don't want to get rid of kickers and defenses, just add them to be able to be a flex. Okay, go play a kicker if you want, right? If you're into that, whatever like that, you have the option to put a kicker in your flex. I think that's kind of cool, too, because you don't have to roster a kicker, but they're available. If you want kickers, you want a defense, you can flex them, or you can run, a bunch of studs out there. So
I do like that. Scott Fishbowl has run something like that in the past, where it's just like you have 7 flex positions.
Yeah,
fill a roster.
It's
whatever
fun.
You want.
I think it's fun. I think it's a cool way to do things. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to our draft. So because we like fantasy football, we like to draft. It's the best time of the year. Fantasy draft season is by far the best time of the year, and we need to draft something. And with it being the new year, we're going to talk about our top 5 2024 New Year's resolutions. They don't have to be our New Year's resolutions, but things that we think are the best New Year's resolutions that anybody can do out there. Before we get into that, Tony, did you read 26 books this year? Because last year, during our New Year's episode, we talked about, we were going to do better this year, and you said you were going to read a book. You wanted to read a book every 2 weeks, on average, every 2 weeks. Did you kill 20? I said I wanted to read one a week. Did you kill out 26? I remember everything. I didn't even have to re-listen to the episode. I knew when I was talking to resolutions, like, did he read or go through, 26 books?
I definitely did not hit 26, but between reading and listening to audiobooks, I did hit double digits. I didn't even get to 12. I think I'm at 10.
Nice.
Thinking off the top of my head. That's a good one, though, and one I definitely need to do better at.
Yeah.
Might be one I have is one of my picks.
I hit 63.
God,
I finished
what were
one
you reading?
yesterday
Like,
morning.
how big are these books? How big are we talking?
They're pretty solid, man. I got a whole bookshelf thing here, but I read a lot of like how do you say these, like ancient philosophers. I say ancient, like Plato, right? And
Yeah.
stuff like that. I read some stuff from the dude who's like all into ancient societies and stuff like that. What the hell's his name? The dude was on Rogan. He's kind of weird, but he talks about how
You gotta be more specific.
yeah. Oh fuck, I forget the guy's name, but he talks about like ancient civilizations and stuff like that, right?
I know who you're talking about.
He wrote a book called like Fingerprints of the Gods and stuff, and so I went through like all his old works and stuff like that. But I can't read just like sitting and reading. So I listen to the audio. I have the audiobook read to me, but I make sure that I follow along in the book. Like I won't drive and listen to an audiobook. I have to sit there and go through the book with it. I just get mixed up when I read words and stuff like that. So, but
do I get
yeah,
points for listening or reading a book twice in the same year or multiple times?
Sure. I don't know why you would do that, but
it's good.
I don't know. When I read a book, I'm always about.
This needs to be on your radar if you haven't read it already.
What is it?
It's Project Hail Mary.
Oh, you did tell me about that. I haven't read that yet.
It's a good listen. So, don't read it. Listen to it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a movie in like 2 or 3 years with Ryan Gosling. This is the author who did The Martian. He is using the same screenwriter to turn Project Hail Mary into a movie that did his book Martian into that movie. So it should be pretty good. It's a lot of fun, though. It's a little bit different. Nice. Sci-fi.
Yeah. Yeah, I just try to dedicate like 30 minutes to an hour minimum a day to reading. So like after...
That's pretty good.
Like while we wait for this thing to upload and stuff like that, a lot of times, I'm going to go sit and read or whatever like that, or try to do that before. Or when I wake up early, make sure that I knock some of that stuff out. It's just kind of calming, relaxing, feel accomplished. But we'll talk about our top 5 2024 New Year's resolutions. Tony, I will let you pick. Do you want the first one or do you want the turn?
You only have a few. You go first.
Okay. Good, because then you can shape what you got going on
the
rest of the time. Some of these things we've talked about, and we've talked about for months and stuff like that. But I think these are good New Year's resolutions for commissioners and anybody in a league, at least this first one. Abolish that kicker and defense. Make sure that you say what you're going to do this year is we're not dealing with this shit anymore. We're not dealing with the New Orleans Saints scoring a defensive touchdown or the Philadelphia Eagles getting 30 points put up on them by the fucking Arizona Cardinals, but because they had a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown, they're scoring positive points that week. This is cockamamie. I think that's a good word. Cockamamie. That sounds cool. But number one is to get rid of, like, New Year's resolution. One thing you're going to do, if you don't do anything else, get rid of kickers and defenses. The platforms need to do this, and that's who this is for. Really, now that I'm thinking about it. ESPN, Sleeper, trash app. Have you ever tried to use Sleeper on a desktop, Tony? It is by far the worst fucking thing you could possibly try to do. It
was designed for the phones, for mobile devices.
But it's so bad. And Sleeper's just a social media app. That's all it is. They spend more time putting fucking Santa hats and snow falling down on your screen when you're trying to... I just want to change my goddamn roster. I don't need snow falling for 5 seconds before I can see, the note on Alvin Kamara's, whatever butthole injury or something like that. Like, I'm tired of it. It's terrible. But to use, like, sitting at work and need to go through, make some waiver claims, this. Like, I hate the trend. I hate the trend piece because that's where everybody just looks for waiver wire people and stuff like that. Who's everybody picking up? Oh, that guy's being picked up by a lot. Oh, they're being dropped by a lot of people.
Hold the phone now. I like that because I will go in there when I'm making my fab bits and see, all right, who are like the top 5 for each position. This is probably what people are going to blow their load on. Let me find some budget guys a little bit lower.
Yeah.
What Sleeper has over ESPN, and this is even on the shitty desktop website, Nate, they have a draft board. How does ESPN not have a draft board for you to follow along? Like it is the year 20. It's going to be the year 2024, and we still don't have a draft board on ESPN.
Yeah,
I don't get that. That's my bone to pick with ESPN.
If ESPN had the draft board, it would be the premium site that everybody would want to do it on.
It doesn't make sense. I don't get that.
because now Sleeper is basically a gambling website essentially, right? So you go in there, they got the picks pages and all that kind of stuff. That's all that everybody's doing on Sleeper. They go there and then they go do, let me pick 4 or whatever like that, and it's fun because it's with my butt. Nope. Get rid of kickers and defenses, and every platform needs to do it. If you want to do it, only acceptable in the flex. Not allowed to be on a required position for fantasy football.
Now, and hold the phone on this. Were these supposed to be our top 5 New Year's resolutions that were fantasy football related? Because I did not do that.
No, they were just supposed to be top 5 New Year's resolutions. I made sure, and because I wanted to leave it open. Like, you come up with some creative stuff. So whatever you got, you got.
Let's make sure you didn't honey dick me here.
Nope.
My first one's going to be health. So whether this is fitness, going to the gym more, diet, trying to eat a salad a day, cutting out, a snack after 7 p.m. or whatever. Maybe intermittent fasting. Maybe you're doing some fasting, you're skipping a meal. Whatever it is, like just focusing more on your health going into the new year is my first pick.
Yep.
It's a pretty popular one. Probably like second to the gym, probably.
Yeah. You remember your New Year's resolution stuff for last year? Everything was about the gym. That was pretty cool.
I'm not looking forward to going to the gym and seeing that crowd there. The gym I go to is already freaking packed. So
nice.
My second one, we'll do finance. So big one here for people in their,
all ages,
late 20s, like me, starting to save. Yeah, definitely all ages. But like, if you're in your late 30s, get into 40s, like you need to start taking savings seriously. You're like in the prime of your money making years. Like maybe you should start thinking about like 20 years from now, am I going to have money to, live off of and not be working, or am I going to be working until I die? So just committing to a budget or something along those lines. We do who's the Ramsey guy? Is it Dave Ramsey?
Yeah.
We do like the envelope. So we have like, I don't know, a dozen envelopes. We stuff money in there, and that's basically what we have for the pay period, for the month, whatever, to spend on whatever, is on the envelope. So kind of that's our strategy. But again, we don't want to work forever. So it makes sense to be smart with the money that we have, especially at this point in our lives.
Yeah, man. Yep. A car payment from, I think it's like age 20. So average car payment. Let's not even go average car payment, because that's like $700 right now in America.
Crazy.
Fucking stupid. People got 2 cars in their driveway, and it's 80% of their fucking mortgage. So it's nuts, and it's going down in value. But car payment from like age 20 until 62 and a half or 59 and a half when you could start withdrawing from 401k IRAs or something like that, right? You put that in a Roth IRA, it's going to be over, I think it's like over $5.5 million to your name. And then you don't even have to touch. You could, on average, the S&P over its lifetime is gaining 11% or something like that, or 9%. So you could just take off the 9% off of it and never touch the principal, and then leave that all to your kids when you're done, and say, oh, you can't take money with you. Yeah, but your family could, and you could have took it from your grandparents and them if they would have done these type of things, or your parents, and completely change your family tree and the opportunities that you and your family have going forward. You could be that person, or you can complain about it and then watch them complain about it or something like that. I'm a big finance guy. Dude, I love it, and I try not to talk about it to like my friends a lot, because I can be very harsh of like, nope, I believe this and this is why, or whatever.
Some people need that. Speaking of IRAs, I don't look at that. Like it's kind of like I have a brokerage, like I do stock trade. I don't look at it that often. Otherwise I'll start selling, buying, losing money. Yep. I looked at it the other day. This year, Nate, 24%.
Hell yeah.
24%. And what I primarily invest in is the S fund. So that's like the common stock.
Yeah.
They keep pace with the S&P 500. Well, that's the C. And then I put the rest in the S, which is companies that are outside S&P. That one's at 22%. Yeah. Everything is making money. So that was a pleasant surprise, because you listen to people talk. They're telling you the economy's shit. If you're investing your money, it's doing okay. So that's probably more reason to address, our future versus our present.
The economy's booming.
In some regards, it's not as bad as people think, though.
Yeah. It's just spending habits. You could look at everybody's budget, right? Like this is like one of the most profitable Christmases, right?
Spending so much money. It's crazy.
You're too busy trying to impress other people instead of the people in your own house. Like,
take advantage of it though, right? You take advantage of the economy. No matter
what's impressive is, like, we have a friend, we won't say his name or nothing like that, right? But we have a friend who, one day we were sitting around talking. I think it was like a few years back. It was before I came out here. It was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. It was around my birthday, and I was at your house, and we did something at your house, and everybody was there, right? And we were in your basement and stuff like that. They were just watching games, and because I was in town for work, and we started talking about like, what do our retirement accounts look like and stuff like that. And one of the dudes is sitting at over, I don't know, it was in a single stock, but it was worth somewhere around like $4 million or something like that. That's impressive. And he ain't gonna tell you, hey, yeah, I'm worth, multi-million dollars or whatever like that, just net worth, and I'm in I'm under 40 or whatever like that. He'll never tell you that, right? Or anything like that. But when you see that, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Like this dude's in sweatpants and a hoodie right now, right? And
he made good decisions, and it's more reason to do exactly what we're talking about. Like start investing in your future right now. That way, if one of those stocks does turn into what Nate's talking about for our buddy, you have that too. Like you're gonna miss out on it, right? It's not like buying a lotto ticket, but like technically it is buying a lotto ticket, but with stocks.
With singles, yeah. I'm strictly mutual funds, so like I don't deal with all the single stuff and day trade stuff. It's just like set it, forget it, let it compound and compound and compound over the years with good track records. So my second one is we talked about ADP a little bit earlier, but I'm going to say stop caring about consensus rankings. So you do talk about, hey, where do our, and I think you come at it from a standpoint of this is where everybody else is going to draft at. This is where everybody's saying to draft them at, right? Like we had a new guy join our league, and I took pictures while he was drafting because I was waiting for him to pick, and I was sitting next to him, and it's just going through like Fantasy Pros, picking his roster, right? You know where he ended up, Tony?
I was going to say, how did he do this year?
Fucking almost being the Sacco, right? Like consensus rankings or whatever like that. Have your own thoughts, right? We talked about a lot of things in the preseason about our own thoughts, and hey, I don't give a shit if everybody's taking Austin Ekeler in the first round. I'm not touching that dude in the third round, right? Yes. Like, not touching it, right? Was that beneficial? Hell yeah, it was beneficial. We didn't have Austin Ekeler on our teams. Who else? Like, just come up with your own stuff. You're never going to be good. How do you say? You're never going to win in good competition with groupthink. If everybody is doing the same stuff, then there's no difference in everybody else because it should average to the mean based off of where you're picking players and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Forget all that shit. And if you want to look at it and be like, no, I believe this guy should be way higher and these guys lower, whatever like that, and come up with whatever it is. But use ADP as a guide to understand where the rest of your league mates are probably going to go, right? And then come up with your own opinions and stuff like that. Those own opinions were very fruitful for us this fantasy season. Stop caring about consensus rankings.
Yeah, I didn't win a lot of championships. I got one in the bag out of 10 leagues. But Nate, they say that the true test of skill is making the playoffs. I made the playoffs in all but one league. All right. Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pat myself on the back there. I don't know how you did. I think you won a championship.
I won one championship. Yeah. Won one championship, and that's my 22-man roster.
Oh, the
IDP.
Big one with Matt. Yeah.
Yep. That's crazy too. But I won that one again 2 times in 3 years. I'm pretty much the greatest thing that's ever happened to IDP. And
I'm the best there ever was.
Yeah. I placed third. I placed third in the other dynasty. And it was kind of just a really bad week in the semifinal because I would have won the championship by 30 points this last week or whatever like that. But I finished third in that one. And then in your league, I think I finished 5th or something like that. But I was the number 1 point scorer for the entire year. So I was trying to wonder why you were sending me money yesterday because I was like, I don't know what. And then Matt sent me money for the dynasty too. So I was like, I don't know where this is coming from. I had to go back and look. Oh, I scored a lot of points. But I definitely was not on the ADP train. I told everybody I'm taking Tyreek Hill number 1. Was it fruitful? Yes. No, he's 7th. We take him over. Yep. Would you take him over? Kelsey? No. Yep. Justin Jefferson? Yep. Jamar Chase? Yep. Suck my ass. But that's my other one. Consensus ratings. Did I do? Nope, I did not do. All right. Yeah. My next one is going to be watch all the actual games and stop just reading box scores and clickbait headlines. change your thoughts when you separate yourself from national media or whatever is being spoken out there, just to watch and look at what you believe and say and see, right? Just with your eyes. I predominantly watch games without sound. And I think that helps me in being able to understand what is going on, what teams are trying to do, because I don't need to hear. And the only time I listen to the broadcast is like the prime time or whatever like that. A lot of time I like listening to Kirk Herbstreit talk because he's got a lot of history of college players and stuff like that too. He's been following us since like high school, so I like that. But when I get to like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck or whatever, like Joe Buck the other night was like squealing like he was hitting puberty when the Lions went for 2 and they thought they had a 2-point conversion, but there was a penalty on the play. And then just the things that they say, it's just clickbaity headline stuff or whatever like that. It's not actually like what's going to benefit you in fantasy. So I try to silence all the outside noise and to just focus on what I see. And I think it helps. And I think that people who get really good at whatever they're trying to do, silence all the external noise, focus on what you can see and what you believe with your own eyes and make your assessments off of that. And then back it with some data.
Yeah, I think that last thing you said is important. I don't think one thing is better than the other. You can't just watch film and say you have a good assessment of everyone. You can't just look at the data and say you have a good analysis of everyone. It's a combination of the two, right? The data is just someone sat there, watched the film and said, yeah, he got open. Yep, he got open. Nope, he didn't get open. He gets open 66% of the time. Yeah. You have to watch both of them, right, to see how well he's getting open. Is it against zone? Is it against man? Things like that. So I like that one. So I'm on my third one here. Yeah, third and fourth picks. So a good New Year's resolution. I have health. I have finance. Another good one. As you get older, we are getting older. You can still learn new things. Learning a new skill. Maybe it's woodworking, getting some power tools in your house. Maybe it's knitting. Maybe you want to make some blankets for your family. That's pretty inexpensive. I've heard it's very good with like stress relief and things like that. Maybe you want to learn how to smoke your own beef jerky.
Hold on. You heard that it's not that expensive to knit things. Because your wife buys a fuck ton of yarn to knit things.
Well, hold on.
So she's telling you, oh, it's not that expensive.
Hold on. She's close. She's close to the door right now. I think she's doing laundry. She's in her office doing laundry.
What do you say? So I heard. I was like, oh my God. I don't know why that would sound funny.
As long as your significant other isn't buying the fucking Gucci yarn or whatever from fucking England, you're good. If it's just from Michael's has so many like coupons and stuff, or Joann's. It is relatively inexpensive. Compare it to sports gambling, Nate. Compare it to collecting cards. That shit is expensive, man.
Can be.
Yeah. So I'll go with learning a new skill. That's pretty cool. That's an easy one to knock out too, if you are trying to make some New Year's resolutions. My fourth one, we already talked about reading. I'll skip that one. This is probably a good one that probably everyone can work on. I know I need to work on it. Learn to be kinder to yourself. For me, this is probably other people can relate. My biggest critic is myself. I think there's people out there, like I said, who can relate. We have that inner voice. And if you're like me, he's probably a bit of a dickhead. So, maybe for 2024, you commit to trying to quiet that voice, maybe make it more positive or try to sprinkle in, some positive comments from that inner asshole that lives inside each and every one of us.
Yeah, that's good. I'm like that. Like if somebody were to talk to my friends how I talk to me, like not even my kids, just like my friends, we'd probably fight. It's bad.
So I want to kick my own ass for sure.
It's one of the reasons I had to get off like social media a lot. So just because it would infuriate me, and then I'd get infuriated that I was infuriated, and then I'll beat myself up over that.
Jesus.
Like it's crazy, man. Like, yeah, I've spent a lot of time in hospitals. Okay, moving on. My next one is going to be, I talked about that earlier. My next New Year's resolution is going to be to make more trades in fantasy football and compound them. And here's what I'm talking about. It's hard to make trades, right? You see a team and there's a guy that you want or whatever like that, right? Let's say you got a guy that I want, right? You're going to want more value out of my guy because I want your guy or whatever like that. Well, obviously it's going to be harder for us to trade. So let me go find someone else to trade with for maybe something that you could use on your team that would benefit your team that maybe I could package up or whatever like that, or would just be a better pick for you, but I don't want the guy. Go find that on another team, trade over there, take that pick, trade it with you, because now it makes your roster better. I've made 2 different people's rosters better by their belief, and then I get the guy that I want or something like that too. So especially if you're like a running back hoarder guy and stuff like that too, you have assets, right? But maybe that person wants that guy, but he isn't like super high on him. Okay, trade that guy to someone who likes them or whatever. Listen to what they're talking about, what they're sharing on social medias, or whatever they say in group text about, oh my God, this guy, right? Or, oh, Josh Allen sucks so dang bad, right? Like, okay, I know that guy doesn't care about Josh Allen or whatever. I want Josh Allen. How do I get Josh Allen? Okay, now I go get a piece that he would want or something like that. And just flip things, right? Be the broker of a deal, but in 2 separate deals. So, hey, you want this guy? You know you're not going to make a trade or whatever like that. What are they looking for? Okay, I'm going to go get what they're looking for, and then I'm going to trade you. I think brokering deals like that is going to be a better way to trade. And that's something I really want to do. I want to test out.
Just fun.
Yeah, I want to test that theory out in 2024, and I think you should too.
Nate, you know what platform lets you do 3-way trades? 4-way trades?
Yeah.
5-way? 6-way trades?
You know what app you try to scroll up and down on a desk? Simple concept of moving my screen up and down on an actual computer, but because they have an actual website. If you just want the app, just make the app. No, you got a whole website for this stuff. And all it does is like glitch, move, boom, boom. You can't scroll your player roster. You can't scroll the way. It's fucking terrible. Yeah. And I like using the desktop pieces, especially when you're like making moves and trades and stuff like that, or waiver wires. Like I want to dig and I want to have a full view of stuff, not 4 players on a screen or whatever like that too. So like regular standard small league on Sleeper, you have to scroll twice just to get to see your whole starting roster. That's not even your bench. It's fucking terrible. Whatever. My last one is going to...
Hold on, Nate. Hold on. What? I just posted on the official Sleeper Blue Sky account. Anyone know how to code desktop sites? Looking to make some massive improvements! !
That's so good.
We'll see what happens in 2024.
That's so good, man. Look at you. You recognize that Sleeper needs something. You're over here brokering a deal with an outside agency, a third party, to give them what they want. Sell it to them for what you want, right? They could have gone and got that. Nope. But you're going to make it happen. This is what we call contracting.
That's right. Well, I'm going to take a cut of whatever Sleeper's going to pay these guys.
No. You hire those people and then ship them out to go work for Sleeper. So Sleeper hires you and you got a contracting team behind you. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying. We're outsourcing now. Love it.
Yeah, just outsource. Get some fucking Mowgli from India or something like that. Do it for like $6 and then Sleeper's going to pay you a couple G's. So.
Hold on. Was Mowgli Indian?
I don't know.
Does that take place like in that part of the world? I don't know. Like my Jungle Book history is just all over the place.
I love that India. Movie. It feels like India.
I don't know. Research. Sorry to interrupt. Doing some research, but sorry to interrupt.
Do the research while I talk about my next one. My next one is going to be, and this is not necessarily fantasy related, but it's sports betting related. Top New Year. This is like my favorite one that I think everybody should do. Is to your New Year's resolution. Stop chasing parlays. 12-leg touchdown parlay hits 2 weeks ago on DraftKings. Half the people are like, oh, that's fake. Half the people are, oh, that's right. And now you got the dude who made the parlay, who's got a social media account trying to teach people how to bet. And here's my 6 lock touchdowns of the week and all this kind of stuff, right? You see, like, if you looked at FanDuel this last week, Tony, I don't know what it was like on some other platforms and stuff like that. It wasn't like that on MGM or Caesars or anything, but on FanDuel, they always have like promoted bets at the top. And they're always parlays, right? Because obviously it's harder to hit 2, 3, 4 things than one bet. So if they can get you to parlay and show that 5,000 people have done this, well, 5,000 people are doing it. I should get in on that. I don't want to miss out. And then boom, one of them fails, right? Like Christian McCaffrey touchdown or something like that, right? Against the Commanders who have a weak defense or whatever it may be. The entire FanDuel home screen was nothing but 4-leg anytime touchdown parlays, and you could scroll and there was like 10 of them because they knew everybody's coming this week to, hit this master parlay and change their life $5 into $100,000 whatever it may be, right? 400 grand. That stuff doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You're not going to do it. It's the same reason you're not going to win the Millie Maker on DraftKings or FanDuel. There's too many people, too many things, too many outs. You're not going to do it. You're better off playing the fucking lottery, which you're never going to win. It's the same concept. But then you have to understand that sports books and casinos are smarter than you. They spend, I want to say, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars of like research on just how does human behavior work? How do we market stuff to get their money? That's why Caesars has a massive compound in Las Vegas. MGM, massive. They got a golden lion outside. I don't know if it's real gold or not, but they got a golden lion that sits outside, a golden lion that sits inside. They have the massive theaters, massive complexes. Their buildings get bigger. Their furniture is better than yours will ever be. And it's not because you can beat them with 12-leg touchdown parlays. Stop doing it. And then you need to understand who the influencers are and what they really are about on all your social media platforms. You got guys in commercials for the websites that they're dealing with. You think Drew Brees is over here on PointsBet putting together a same game parlay? I don't think so. You think that whoever the other dude that you got, the Trent Atcha, right? I hate that I keep calling this dude out, but it's the biggest scumbag move ever, because it's like he's betting with you, but he's literally came up with, it's brilliant marketing. Fugazi 5, the surgical 6 that basically says, I'm going to put out this, and every week it misses by 1, because that's probably what's going to happen. More than likely you're going to miss a 5-leg parlay or a 6-leg parlay, right? And it shows him betting $1,000. The guy works for Prize Picks. He's in the Prize Picks commercial. Mm-hmm. So what do? You don't do 2-leg parlay. No, 5, 6, because the people will see the odds and, oh my gosh, and it's chasing a dream and all that kind of stuff. Understand that stuff and quiet it, and then figure out what you're going to bet if you're going to bet, and let it be that. But stop chasing all these long-ass parlays, because you see it every week, and we see it in group texts and everything like that all the time. Like, I wouldn't do that, or we all like, this is dumb, but I'm going to do it anyway, or whatever, right? Okay, that's what you want to do with your money,
Nate,
but you're going to lose.
Nate, Trent Atcha on his official Blue Sky account at Book It with Trent just posted just now, like a minute ago, stop parlaying, all caps, stop wagering sportsbooks recommended bets. Space, you're welcome. It's crazy how fast these guys are. I also have something. I did some math. I did some quick calculations here. If you are betting $50 a month and you decided to stop, and you're the age like me, 27, and you're like, I'm going to invest this. So that ends up being $1,050 a year. You want to retire at the age of 65. So you're investing $1,000 a year. That's less than $100 a month. If you're betting $50 a week, there's 17 weeks of football. There's 4 playoff weeks. So that's about $1,050, $1,100. If you invested that, you'd have about 200 grand in your IRA by the time you retire. And this is just what you're betting, right, for your sports stuff. This would be in addition to whatever you're putting away from your normal income. Yep. So just some quick math there. That's a lot of money.
If you're hitting the S&P average, that 9 to 10%, you'll double your money in, I think it's like every 7 to 8 years or something like that.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
It just compounds and compounds.
It compounds, right?
Yep. Yeah. All right, whatever. I'm done ranting. I guess I was ranting, but
what pick
we're not even there. This is a long episode. I'm sorry.
What pick are we on here? I'm totally.
You have one. You have one.
We'll do my last one as you already mentioned this. Get off social media. I think it's something you've done. You weren't on Facebook to see the post where you were rewarded as the highest scoring team in my league, but social media is toxic by nature. If you're looking at dumb stuff that puts you in a hole that you're having a hard time getting out of, the algorithms, the way they're designed, it's not your fault. It's not the social media site's fault. It's just the way things are. They're going to throw that stuff in your feed because they want to keep you on whatever platform they are. That's just how things work, if you didn't know. But higher powers use social media to kind of manipulate, spread misinformation. So this is in addition to seeing stuff that you probably shouldn't see over and over to keep you on a platform that's toxic. But yeah, you're seeing lots of manipulation. You're seeing lots of misinformation. All this stuff has been proven. So there's no need to argue with random people on Facebook. They're probably not real. They're probably paid actors. They're probably bots. Bots are very easy to make. We have OpenAI now, ChatGPT that kind of do these things for us. So those things are out there. I've probably argued with them within the last 5 years myself. Guilty. But so you can keep your account, right? If you have connections, maybe delete the app. Like I don't have Facebook app because I would just sit on that for an hour, 2 hours a day scrolling. I can just log in through a browser and I'll just check if I have notifications and then I'm out. So keep your account if you want to keep like, pictures of family and friends, your connection with people you may not talk to, on a daily basis. Just don't doom scroll. If you have the apps, I feel like that's just encouraged. They're going to throw stuff at you, like I said, that's going to keep you coming back for more over and over, wasting time that you could be investing elsewhere, doing healthier things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a big thing for me this year was I didn't mess with social media and stuff like that. So I still have Twitter and that's primarily where I go, but I primarily stay in like my following tab. So I'm not getting all the, random nonsense and stuff like that. It's just people that I find fascinating or I, respect their takes or whatever like that. And they lead me to other things by what they're talking about essentially. Yeah. So, I think that's a good one because it's going to, I would say that part of it is your fault because you end up like, you are attracted to some of those things, right? Like, or it engages you, right? Which is what marketing and media is supposed to do is to engage you. But you can't control how often you see that stuff because it is based off of, well, I'm going to read this because whatever it does something chemically inside me, whether that's positive, negative, or neutral, right? And majority of the time it's going to be something negative because obviously if it bleeds, it leads, right? Like that's the old adage to the news and media and stuff like that. Learned it in college too, when doing like journalism stuff or whatever like that. It's like, if it bleeds, it leads. Like your article won't do anything, Nate, because it is positive. I'm like, that makes no sense. Like I'm literally getting a negative rating on my assignment because I chose not to write something about, a murder and this is it. No, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't.
It's crazy though. Some of these sites, they make their money on advertising. Some of these sites with their advertising, like we were just talking about crocheting. No joke. I'm going to look at my phone within the next 24 hours. I'm going to see like some of that Gucci yarn or whatever from England. It's going to be in my Facebook feed.
Yeah.
Have not searched it anywhere on anything. Maybe Charlotte has. Maybe I have to blame her. Yeah. But like stuff like that will just pop up on my phone. I'm like, what? Just talking about this.
Yeah.
And maybe there's like a dopamine hit there and they're trying to make money. You're satisfied and they just keep giving you the same thing.
Yeah.
You just keep scrolling. You keep scrolling and scrolling, seeing garbage after garbage. I don't know.
The world is about sales. Sales drive our 401ks and Roth IRAs and stuff like that, which is cool, but I don't want to partake in buying it because I'm trying to partake in buying the company. Like that's what we're trying to do here, right? Buy little pieces of the companies, let everybody else buy the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's recap our draft. We still got a rant and a rave, Tony. Jesus. And I got a good one. Tony, you got for top 2024 New Year's resolutions, you got take care of your health, your finances, learn new skills. I like that. And you brought up, word working and stuff like that. Buying some tools and stuff like that. I know you got a couple of those things. You built some things in the past. That's something I really want to learn. I think I mentioned that last year, and I didn't do a damn thing with that. I did learn a lot about working on a car, so that's kind of cool. Be kinder to yourself and limiting or getting rid of the social media stuff, quieting what you got going around. Mine was primarily sports and fantasy football focused because I am, obviously here for the fantasy football fans. It's just something that was on my mind. But getting rid of kickers and defenses in fantasy football for good, and that means the platforms too. You're not agnostic to this. Well, some people, no, force them. It's terrible. Say this is not good for you and take it away. Just like ESPN refuses to put up a draft board because it's not good for you, apparently. That's what they think. It's the simplest thing, and they think it's not good for you. Stop caring about consensus rankings. Watch the games, compound trades, and stop parlaying like a madman trying to get rich. That's how they get rich, and you don't. Let's move on to rants or raves. Tony, I'll let you have the floor, whether you want to rant or you want to rave.
So, Nate, there I was.
Fucking my mom in the ass last night. Oh. Yeah, I had a friend, my buddy, Ryan Goodwin, I grew up with. He ended up joining the Air Force, too, and I was stationed with him at Vandenberg. for a little bit. I think Vandenberg. I was stationed with him somewhere, or I was stationed with somebody who was stationed with him too, or whatever like that. But he used to do that. He would come in late for Spanish class all the time, and he would like mess his clothes up, like have like his arm, his like head coming through his sleeve, his shoe like tucked under this other one or whatever like that, and then he'd just come in, Miss Mother. So like I got jumped because last night I was fucking my mom in the ass last night, and then this guy called me, and he would just slip that in there all the time, and so I don't know. Never mind. Sorry, apologize. Keep going.
So there I was.
Every time someone says "there I was," it's what I think.
Nate's not playing. Where Tony, where were you? Thank you. I was at Disneyland, and all of a sudden, 6'5", 6 foot. I don't know how tall these guys were. They were massive, 300 pounds at least. These dudes start showing up all over the place. This was the 26th or 20th. It was after Christmas. They're everywhere. They're on all the rides, the teacups. They're everywhere. They were Michigan players. I only saw Michigan paraphernalia. I think there were Alabama players there too. They were honoring them or something. But these dudes were massive. They were big. They were taking up all kinds of space. But my complaint isn't, Michigan players making me feel 4'7" tall. It's about Disney giving these dudes passes to just skip through all of the lines. Disneyland around the holidays, they have these things called blackout periods. So they charge more to get in. Attendance is just absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. After Christmas was no exception. Like every ride was about an hour and a half to 2 hour wait for even the simplest, most dumbest ride, Fantasyland, Toontown. Everything was just packed. Why are we making that worse on these types of days, these blackout days around the holidays, to let college students, they're college students that play football, cut whatever line they want? They had like these lanyards with passes on, and they just basically went through the exit and jumped on the ride whenever they wanted. They didn't have to stand in line with us. They didn't have to pay for Genie Plus. Doesn't make any sense for me. And as a result, I am rooting for Texas and I'm rooting for Washington. Either of those teams over Michigan. I think Alabama was in there too, though I didn't see them. But yeah, screw those guys. Screw Disneyland for doing that. I don't get it. I don't like the celebrity treatment. Not fair. It's not fair, Nate.
It sucks because Michigan just beat Alabama in overtime as we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Which means Michigan's going to win a fucking national championship, and Michigan is the worst possible thing that's ever happened to the United States of America.
Exactly.
Like, worse than the 1700s. It's bad. Anyways, my rant and rave. It's on fantasy. And that's what got me thinking about things I want to do different, do better, things how we want to change our leagues and formats and stuff like that. But I got a rant, and it's for all you fucks who don't pay your goddamn league fees in time. Have some honor in what your name is. Have some pride in who you are as a human being and your ability to be dependable. I won a league this year. Talked about it a little bit earlier. I'm still waiting on a payout. Our league did not end in week 17. It ended in week 16. We don't play 17 or 18. We play through 16 weeks, and that is it. And I won. And at the time that I had won, 3 people had paid. Me, one other guy, and our buddy Matt had paid the league fee. So I'm sitting here waiting on 9 people. Since then, 2 people have paid. So now I am waiting on 7 people. Half of this league stopped playing a quarter of the way through when they were getting fucking smashed by the GOAT of IDP in Nate. They realized I was putting up 300 points, and they're sitting here trying to scrummage up 170 with 20 players. People haven't been playing in this league. I bitched about it all year because I'm like, yeah, this is really fun. And I look at it, and it's like half a team of IR guys in the starting roster, while there's guys on the bench that are fine to play. 7 guys have yet to pay in this league. And I'm at a point where I'm really not sure if I'm going to get paid. And it sucks because I've built a dynasty. I've done what was supposed to be done. And I should be winning $900,000 every single year out of these guys. And I don't want to play in the league, but it supports my lifestyle. Because I don't have to come out of my own pocket to pay you and pay other people for league fees and stuff like that. Like, commissioners have to do something about, hey, like there's severe penalties or whatever like that. Like we implemented in my league this year. Hey, we're going to lose this many points if we don't get paid on time. Because I had to deal with it before, and I get paid by somebody in like March or something like that without like any communication and stuff like that. But then you look through it, it's like, hey, someone checked the PIN message because I'm missing payment from all you guys, and I want to pay them out as soon as possible. And this was a week and a half ago, and 4 people have saw that post within the Sleeper app. So you don't even know if they got the damn app. It's bullshit, and I'm not getting paid, and I'm mad.
A failure. That's a failure on the commissioner's part, and it sucks. You're probably not going to get all the money, and you're probably going to have some orphans that people are going to have to fill.
And I don't even know these guys. Like, I know one of them, right? So it's like, they're not my friends or whatever like that. I just play fantasy football and shit on them all the time. And it's just, that's what kind of sucks, because it's like they have no, like, they don't hang around me, right? So it's like, I bet it would be different if we're like one of your homeboys or something like that. You're hanging out, you're going out to do this, and it's like, yo, you owe me $100, man. Like, what the fuck? You know, you're out doing this, that, the other, or whatever like that. Like, come on, like, be a person of your word. But
that's why I'm always weary of joining leagues where I don't know anybody. Maybe if I know the commissioner, the dude running it, or the chick running it, whoever's running it, if I know them, maybe that's fine. But I try to stay away from leagues I just don't know most of the managers.
Yeah. I don't know how it was the other years or whatever like that, but I remember the first time it took me a couple weeks to get paid. This time I just don't know, because there were so many people who stopped playing throughout the season. That's crazy. So it's kind of discerning, but I just wanted to rant about that because it's really infuriating. And
I'm mad for you.
And I got fucking flushed out by a goddamn ace on the river. Anything else for the people before we let them go, Tony? Before we let them go, like they're still here.
If you're still here, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
We've made it through 17 weeks. Fantasy season's over. Hopefully you're not in some bozo league playing a championship in week 18. That's not fun. But thanks for following along. You know, we've done the recaps every week. We've done previews basically on picking winners. We've been very consistent. We only missed like 1 or 2. It's pretty crazy to think about that. We've kind of made a lot of growth. Nate's made a lot of growth with the YouTube channel. Just kind of the presentation, like go back and listen to the first dozen episodes of Taco Corp. Go back and listen to the first 2 dozen episodes of 58 West King, the first dozen episodes, all of Champions League. Like we've come a long way. And you know, we don't have 1 million people listening, but for the few dozen, Nate has the numbers. For the people that do listen and have been, you know, following along with us through this just fun, exciting, very stressful adventure. Thank you. We do appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been a fun learning experience for us both.
Yeah, it's cool. Finishing out 2023. I think it's 227 on the subscriber list on YouTube.
It's crazy.
You know, you get quite a few listens on the podcast audio or whatever like that too. But we had, I think, 32 subscribers, probably friends and family, at the start of the NFL season, about a month before the season, right, or whatever like that, before we started talking, and just putting out 2 episodes a week for the most part, minus I think 2 weeks where we missed a recap, and that was it. And this last week, I was supposed to do a recap by myself. Had to get a little surgery action done. It's kind of kicked me out of the game.
How's your transition? How's your transition going?
The slit's looking good. Yeah. But I had like an emergency situation. I had to go to urgent care and get cut open and stuff like that. So dealt with that, but we got the pick of winners one out. So, but thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing and liking. If you haven't done that right now, do that right now. If you're still here, do that at the beginning and tell somebody else to do that. Tell your dad. Dads like podcasts, especially if they're talking about sports and it's just not Colin Cowherd, or they have to listen to First Take, or whoever the dude with the jacket is on Fox now and long hair. Looks like whoever that dude from, what was that? New Girl, or not New Girl. Damn it. What's his name? You saw him do comedy or something like that. He was with, fucking hell.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Chris.
I can't think of his name. D'Elia.
Chris D'Elia or whatever.
D'Elia
like that,
or
right?
something, yeah.
Yeah, and like that dude on Fox who does that or whatever like that, and changes who his love child is for every single week or whatever like that. But Yeah, we're just a bunch of bozos who end up doing this kind of stuff and figuring it out, and really for us to learn, because we want to get better at it. And I think it's cool to put out our thoughts and ideas so that we can go back and look at that later on in life or whatever like that too. So capturing is really fun. And thanks for listening, liking, subscribing, comment what you want to hear about in the off season. I think in the next coming weeks, we'll talk about going over what we thought our preconceived notions of each position throughout the, fantasy season and stuff like that, of where we kind of place people and why and what our thoughts were. And then we'll go over some of the coaching changes and stuff like that as well, and look at some of those impacts of what those people are. They might not be the quick, that next week of so-and-so gets fired, so-and-so gets hired, and having that information, because we also have full-time jobs. I raise 2 kids on my own. Tony raises 2 kids and a wife on his own. So she's definitely not listening right now. So I'm allowed to say that. And she's probably already.
I'm gonna rant again. I've made dinner the last 4 nights in a row. This is unheard of.
What are you, a girl or something?
I'm in her office using her tools.
This house is a prison. In the galaxy of this sucks camel shit. Anyways, thanks for listening. We really appreciate you guys. Let us know in the comments on YouTube about what you want to hear from us, and what, some ideas or thoughts or whatever like that. It could be anything. We don't really care. But banger of the week, Rush Hour, Mac Miller. I think it ties into New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. Whatever your New Year's resolutions are, wish you well. And remember to be honest to yourself. Lying to yourself is the worst thing. You can get away with lying to other people. But as Tony talked about with, being kind to yourself and stuff like that. If you're going to say you're going to do something, you do something. That's a contract. You can listen to Kobe Bryant talk about that kind of stuff. But definitely don't. I heard Alex Hormozy talking about it on like a whatever. Do these 23 things if you want to be poor, essentially, right? It's basically reverse engineering of stuff not to do, essentially, in life. And one of them was to lie to yourself. And I've dealt with that for a long time. I used to do that a lot, and it's tough when you have to go through the fact that you're lying to yourself and why you can't just be honest with yourself. So, Rush Hour, Mac Miller for Tony. I am Nate. This is, Taco Corp episode 1 something or whatever like that. Week 17 recap. Love you, bye.
Love you, bye. You're gonna crush 2024. We believe in you.
Yeah.